The team number 2 with the members Aldama Marta, Hernández Gallegos José Juan, Salas Cobo Jacqueline, and me, Santiago Diaz Marco Antonio, we're going to explain the theme about the expansion tree of Operation Research 2.
What is the expansion tree? The minimum spanning tree is the one that starts from a vertex and finds all its accessible nodes and the relationship as a whole that allow these nodes to be connected with the least possible. By finding the minimum relationship, it can be used to design routes in highway system or air routes itineraries so that the planned routes are more efficient. Also, the minimum spanning tree can be used to analyze correlations in financial system of foreign exchange markets. The minimum spanning tree is appropriate for problems in which redundancy is expensive or flow through arcs is considered instantaneous. The problem arises when all the nodes in a network must connect to each other without forming a circle. In other words, the least spanning tree model has to do with the determination of the branches that can join all the nodes of a network such that it minimizes the sum of the lengths of the chosen branches. Spanning tree characteristics. It arises when all the nodes of the network must contact each other. It refers to using branches or arches of the network to reach all the arches of the network in such a way that the total length is minimized. You have the nodes of a network but not the ties. Instead, the potential ties and positive length are provided for each if inserted into the network. Alternative measures for the length of a ligature include distance, cost, and time. You want to design your network with enough ties to satisfy the requirement that there be a band between each pair of nodes. The goal is to satisfy this requirement in a way that minimizes the total length of the ties inserted into the network.
When we want to solve a modeling problem by the spanning tree method to find the shortest path that in this problem is asking for, in this case the problem will be resolved with the method manually. And what we need to do is following. We can see in this slide we have all the possible routes that exist in this problem. Taking into account that a node must be chosen arbitrary, in this case we will choose node 1. After doing that, we will look for the route with lower values. so that we can find out which is the short route. And we can see in the blue numbers the route will be forming like 5 to 6, 1 to 5, 1 to 2, 5 to 7, 9 to 8, 2 to 3, 5 to 9, and 4 to 6. And that will give us an amount of 41, where the 41 will be the kilometers that the company needs to travel.
Well, now we will look at the problem from another perspective. We will calculate which is the longest route in the network from the distribution point. As a first step, and one way to make it easier is to write the points and their distance. We continue to mark the longest distance, which are the ones in blue signs. At the point we look for the longest route. As we identify the greater distance, at the same time we are developing the route diagram. It should be noted that we must be careful not to form an circle. As we see in the first network, the arches with greater distance were marked. What continues is simply to redraw the network only white the marked lines. As the last step is to establish the objective function, we add the distance and obtain the optimal solution by maximizing the objective function of 109. As analysts, we have to, based off the results, to obtain the longest routes from the distribution point. Each of the areas, the company will need 109 kilometers of cable to be able to provide the TV connection service to the 9 housing developments.
I can cite the minimum spatial method. It is the one to beings from the vectors and mets are the relative knowledge they all use to reach the lowest possible costs or to say the lowest value. Conclusions. The problem is of the minimum spacing tree or train of minimum travel can be as method which is oriented to the decisions of appropriate optimal the words from the solutions or problem it is seen it should be not that these methods include important factors is the taking of decisions such as the time factor, the cost factor, or the distance factor, which play an indispensable role from the person is charged on central project, limited on under central conditions, its restrictions, in order to reach a solution where the lowest cost could to be obtained. These methods is also very useful from our current as interest satisfaction of this. This method is also very useful from our current as ingredient size base of the method which can be better decisions.